You've got to give a little, take a little, and let your poor heart break a little. That's the story that's the glory of love.
Hey guys, what's going on, and welcome back to What Shall We Do Next. And today, I am coming back at you guys with a movie review, and as you guys know, for my birthday, a few days ago, I watched the new Orphan film, Orphan First Kill. Now, I loved the first movie, the one that came out in 2010. I thought it was an insanely good horror movie. It had an amazing plot twist at the end, but I didn't really know anything about this movie. I didn't know there was going to be a sequel at all until about a month ago when I did a reaction video to the trailer, and the only reason I found out about that was because it was on my recommended page on YouTube. I thought the trailer looked amazing, so much so that I wanted to watch the first one again because I hadn't seen it in a long time, so I rewatched it to get me hyped up for the movie, and I saw the movie, and it was kind of like, okay, there is going to be some spoilers in this video, so if you don't want to hear any spoilers, don't watch. I mean, I guess they stated the obvious in the title. It's Orphan First Kill. But I didn't really think too much into that. I didn't really think too much into why it was called that. But the movie itself is actually a prequel, which confused me a lot. Now, there is some good things and bad things to say about this film. And one of them is it's very confusing. I went into this not knowing it was a prequel. I didn't know this took place before the first movie happened. Keep in mind, it's been 12 years since the first one. But the girl in the first movie, Isabelle Fuhrman, I think her name is, she was around 12 years old at the time of the first movie, so she was an actual child, which is what made the plot twist at the end so amazing. Obviously, 12 years later, now she's probably about 24 years old, and she's still playing the not even the 12-year-old, because it actually takes place a couple of years before the first movie, so she's actually about 10 in this movie. So you have a 24-year-old woman playing a 10-year-old child, which just kind of confused me. You could see they did so much to make her look younger again, but it kind of threw me off because I thought it was going to be like, what happened to her now? Like I thought this was going to be a sequel. So I went into this thinking, because of the trailer, she looked so much older in the trailer for this movie, that I went into this thinking it was going to be like, what happened, what became of her? Because if you guys remember in the first movie, she got away. Like, they didn't find her body in the pond. So she kind of pulled a Michael Myers stunt. She kind of like got kicked in the head by the mom. The body, just like her body went down. You see her going down, but they searched the pond and they couldn't find her, which implies that she's still alive and she got out and she's nowhere to be seen. So I was going into this movie thinking it was going to be like a follow-on to that, but I was wrong. It actually takes place, it goes way back to when she lived in Estonia in a mental institution, which was called the Sarn, I think it's pronounced Sarn Institute, and it was like a criminally insane place for like the criminally insane, like a mental institution. And you see how she kind of escapes from there. She then goes to Russia, and she pretends to be a lost American child who looks like her. She's like researching lost American children, and she finds this one girl who is named Esther. And so that's how she got the name Esther, but the actual girl herself is named Lena, kind of like Lena from Tattoo. So this movie kind of shows how she got from Russia, or like how she became from Estonia as this Russian refugee, like lost child. Like, she was adopted into the family, if you guys remember in the first one, and she was adopted by this American family. And when they're at the orphanage, they do talk about like her background, and they say she was living in this house with her family, and the house burned down, and she was the only survivor, which this movie shows what happened in that situation. So it is very confusing, kind of goes all over the place. I do understand it now that I realized it was a prequel. It made sense to me, and it's showing like what happened before, because the movie actually ends with the phone call for like an adoption agency, and like there's this couple that want to adopt her, and that's implying like the first movie's about to begin. I love what they did with it. Like, I love the story. I love how they did a prequel. I feel like it was worth doing. Gives us a little bit more of a background on Esther, or Lena, and shows they actually contacted the parents of the real life missing Esther, But there's a huge plot twist. I won't tell you what it is. There's another big plot twist, which honestly, I thought it was kind of dumb. I feel like it took the scary away from Esther. Like in the first movie, she was so fucking scary because she was like this demented, psychopathic child or woman. But she was like super scary, and she kind of played off this like innocent little girl with little pretty pigtails and dressed in a little pretty dress, and she had this like really dark secret that you only find out at the end. And I feel like in this movie, the family the Esther family, they had a little secret too, and it just took the scary away from Esther. It kind of took the spotlight off of her as a main character, like horror movie character, and put it on the family. And I was like, what? It almost makes Esther or Lena the victim in the situation. It was very bizarre, and I feel like very unnecessary to do that. But I do like how they did a prequel. I feel like that was worth doing. I feel like the family thing wasn't worth doing, like their little secret. Didn't feel like that was necessary at all. I just feel like that took the spotlight away from Lena. But I do like how the story led up to the first one, and they do reference this movie in the first one. Like, they reference things about Lena's or Esther. It's making it more confusing because this girl literally has two names, but I'm just gonna call her Esther because that's how everybody knows her. But Esther, I like that it showed her background. I like how it showed how she escaped from this institute, which you hear about in the first movie, and I like how it shows you how she got to America, like how she scammed her way to America, and ended up being adopted by this family in the first movie. But before that happened, she had an American family. The other thing I really didn't like is how they waited 12 years to do this, because it just felt silly to me, looking at this clearly mature woman. Like, she had this like mature bone structure. Her face had changed. It was more narrow, more pointed. She had like this contoured, like adult look. But in the first movie, she had this little round, little cute, chubby face like a normal little girl. And this is supposed to be before that, so she looked like an adult woman before the first movie. Which, I don't get it. Her voice was like a little deeper, so like she had more of a mature voice, whereas in the first movie she actually had like a child's voice. This time it just kind of looked weird, and like I noticed throughout a lot of the scenes they tried to make her look smaller than she actually is, because obviously she's an adult, and so they tried to make her look smaller, and sometimes she just like changed sizes all the time. I don't know if you guys caught that, but there was a lot of times where like you would see her like talking to her mom face to face, and she would be like almost shoulder length like height with her, or shoulder height, I mean, with the mom. And then you would see like a shot from afar where like the mom's holding her hand and she's literally like nipple height with the mom, and it's like, and every now and then she just seems to like shift sizes. I don't know if they had like an actual different little girl to play like the back shots of like her walking away with her mom, and just like made it look like Esther from the back. And it was really like an actual 10-year-old child or something, because like her size was changing a lot. That was just kind of like, I couldn't take it seriously. I just felt like having a 24-year-old woman playing a 10-year-old was a big mistake. Like, I feel like this would have been better if they had done it a year or two after the first movie, not 12 years later. However, I know I would have complained if they had a replacement. So if they had somebody that wasn't Isabelle playing the character of Esther, I know I would have still complained. I would have been like, it's not the same, not the same. They should have stuck to the main actress. They shouldn't have changed it. So I guess they couldn't really win. But I feel like her face looked a little weird. I don't know if it was like makeup or they tried to CGI her to make her look younger, but she almost looked a little bit cartoony, like not really there, like a little AI or something. I don't know, it was a little weird to me. I think the movie's worth a watch. I wouldn't say it was one of my favorite things I've ever seen. Definitely didn't scare me, definitely didn't make me feel uncomfortable. If anything, it made me feel a little weirdly bad for Esther, or like not really bad for her, but kind of like I'm on her side, especially when you find out the family's secret thing. It makes you feel like I'm on her side, I'm on Esther's side in this one. But in the first movie, it's like she's so fucking manipulative, and she was so like, you just wanted to bend her over and spank her butt. probably shouldn't say that. But, like, she actually was so fucking annoying. Like, she was so evil and manipulative. And she would be like, that scene when, like, I can't remember the boy's name, but the grandma's sitting in the waiting room and the boy's, like, literally fighting for his life on life support in the hospital. And Esther's, like, sitting there with little pigtails, all cute and innocent. She's like, can I have $1 for the soda machine? And then she, like, takes the $1 and goes and tries to fucking kill him. And she comes back, like, with her little soda can, like she'd done nothing wrong. I fucking hated her. But I think if you want to watch the movie, you could. I would say don't go into it with too high expectations. But I do find her a little relatable in some scenes too. Like, she makes friends with a rat that lives in the air vent in her bedroom, and she goes crazy when the rat dies. So I feel like she's got this, like, attachment thing to, like, unloved animals. Like I've made a video about that myself, talking about how I feel about, like, you know, spiders and snakes and rats and crows and these things that everybody hates. But I feel like I care about them a lot because people hate them and they're just trying to live their lives. And I feel like Esther, who is she's the antagonist in this situation, and she befriends this rat, and she's very, very heartbroken when it dies. And she does that thing, like tantrum, smashing everything up in her room and everything like that. But I guess it was kind of good. I wouldn't give it too much of a high rating, though. I would probably give it a 7 for the idea of a prequel, but just a 6 because it was just not that greatly performed. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comment section, have you seen it? If you have seen it, let me know what you thought of it. Smash a like on it, and I'll see you right back here in the next one. Peace out and chase your dreams.